Hey Tom, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you, Susan. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Well, this week we're talking about clothing, aren't we? But
Yep.
perhaps not in a way that people expect us to, because people know generally what the clothing is called. But you often ask me questions, so I thought I'd start this Tuesday by asking you a couple of questions. Are you ready?
Yep.
So, how many garments do you think are produced? Garments being another word for clothing.
Yep. Good
Um,
word.
yeah, it is actually, isn't it? Garments, how many items of clothing do you think are produced each year worldwide? I would
Wow, what a
bet
great
it.
question. So, 7 billion people approximately worldwide.
Very good.
I
Good
would
logic, yeah.
say, well, just a little bit of basic mathematics. I would say each person they'd be catering for maybe four, maybe five, and there's always 10% extra. I would say a conservative estimate, and a conservative estimate is a collocation that means
I like
as
that.
as a minimum, as a sort of a smaller amount of the choices that I might give or the answers I might give, I would say 20 billion.
Okay, well, all will be revealed very soon. So well done. No comment. I won't say if you're close or not. And it was probably a bit of a clue here. What industries would you say are the worst polluters, the top three polluting industries in the world? Bit unfair because there's so much choice, but
No, that's another great question. I'm just putting in the chat very quickly,
uh-huh,
Suzanne, garments, because I used
that's
to
true.
always recommend that for any students doing exams, and clothing and
Yes,
fashion is a common thing. So you say the word clothes, it's probably introduced in the first week or month of elementary school,
true.
dependent on when you learn English. So you're never going to impress anyone with the word clothes. However, you can replace it with the word garments, and it's a quick fix to go from zero to hero
Yeah,
and immediately look advanced. So I've put that one in because I'm a big fan of that word as well. So
yeah,
the big three industries that are the biggest polluters. Well,
yeah.
if I'm logically guessing, then because we're talking about fashion, I presume it's one of those. So I would say
Yeah.
fashion, and I know it takes a huge amount of water to produce
Mm,
a pair of jeans. And I
true.
know that was one of the main reasons why the Aral Sea in Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan dried up, because of all the cotton plantations for the Soviet
Right.
Union. So that's why I would only ever have one pair of jeans. I'd never buy a second one. What's the
Mm,
point?
yeah,
You know?
exactly. And we're going to look at that sort of thing in more detail. And in fact, I'm going to rephrase my question. Rephrase is also very useful,
Yeah,
isn't it?
I'll put that in.
Because I don't know the third one and I haven't got any results. So I want the top two polluting industries.
Okay. Oh
I was
dear.
trying to throw you off throw you off track. Rephrase,
Um,
yeah. So the top two polluting industry, yeah, you're right. Clothing and the fashion industry is one because of water.
I'm
Um,
going to have to go with the obvious one, which is the energy industry.
yeah,
Fossil fuels.
mm. Spot on, spot
Really?
on.
Oh, good.
Really, really good. Okay. So yeah, so we've changed to a screener. This is a really nice website which we'll put in the groups. Sustain your style. So what's wrong with the fashion industry now? First of all, those questions. The big reveal is down here. Look at this: 80 billion
Wow,
garments
that's huge, isn't it?
are produced every year. Absolutely,
11 to 12 garments per person,
yeah.
including the first world, second world, third world,
Well,
man, woman,
that's
and child. God, dear.
that's right. And I'm in contact with a school in Uganda, and when I consider that, because the children there have one set of clothes, so
Yep.
in so many parts of the world, there are one or two sets of clothes per person. So over in the West, there's a lot of clothes purchased. Right, let's go up to the top of this. So, what's wrong with the fashion industry? And you're right about the top two polluters, and we'll see why.
Oh,
Um,
good.
Oil industry followed by the fashion industry because of all the toxins, really. But
Yep.
listen, let's have a look at this here. There's there's some nice information, the drop-in garment prices. So here we got that word garment again, haven't we?
Yeah, fantastic word. And also the noun drop at the beginning, everyone knows it as a verb. And in English, there's hundreds of words where the noun and verb is the same word. So if you know the verb drop, then you'll know the noun drop, because it's more or less the same meaning.
Absolutely. So drop in prices, and it's a lot of times in business, or perhaps giving a presentation as a student, you're talking about the drop on a graph. So and if you've ever done an IELTS exam or something similar, it's the language that's often used, isn't it?
Writing task 1 IELTS is very high frequency.
Yes, it is. It's used a lot. So drop in garment prices, if you're talking about business, you might say we've got a drop, we've had a drop in market prices, we're offering. No, you wouldn't offer a drop in prices. That's probably not a good collocation, but definitely a drop in market prices.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a drop in petrol prices in the UK. It's actually been the opposite. It's gone up recently, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Although there was a drop during lockdown. I remember buying petrol for £1.04. Now in the UK it's £1.45. So
yeah, huge increase.
That's
and
right.
the good thing about that vocabulary as well, you mentioned IELTS before and writing task 1, all of those nouns and verbs are exactly the same. So whether it's drop, rise, increase, decrease, all the vocabulary you can stick in a sentence as a noun, stick it in a sentence as a verb, shows that you've got more control over the sentences and the language.
Absolutely. And that's an interesting collocation here, has allowed us to buy more and more clothes. So that a lot of our listeners will know about allowed, but perhaps not seen it in that connection. Has allowed us to buy more clothes.
Yeah, it's like make it possible, isn't it? And a lot of people use the word possible too much. For example, a lot of Spanish speakers will say, is it possible, and use that structure, maybe overuse it a little bit. But to be allowed to do something, which is what this structure is here, to allow someone to do something, has allowed us to buy more clothes, is a very common structure, and it's a different way of doing it, and it's more academic, and it's cleverer and more advanced. So it's always worth taking a note of the best ones.
Absolutely true. And I was thinking, might sound unrelated, but stay with me, guys, because I think in the UK, a lot of our international students, when they travel to the UK, are surprised how much daylight there is in the summer. But the summer, the late setting of the sun in the UK, especially in Scotland, allows people to spend more time outdoors. Both of our families live near the beach, so we can get more time on the beach. So the later nights allow us more time outside in daylight.
Exactly. Or platforms like this allow us to communicate faster.
Yes, absolutely. Social media has allowed so many connections, communication.
Or super fast English allows us to listen to real English in real time.
Absolutely.
I really like this next sentence, Suzanne. Sorry to cut in.
No, go for it.
We have 5 times more clothes than our grandparents had. Presumably, this is a European statistic, but what an interesting thing. 5 times makes complete sense.
It does, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's probably a conservative estimate. So again, a conservative estimate. Yeah.
Can I ask how many pairs of shoes you have?
I don't have that many, actually. I don't know. I'm probably about 10 pairs. So that's not too much compared to some people, is it?
That's right.
And
do you think there's a difference between males and females in the quantity of shoes they purchase?
Typically, I think there is, but I promise you, my 2 adult sons have more shoes than I have.
Put together?
Yeah, no, each. Yeah, each. But I made a decision not to buy. I've got so. When I lived, and this is a sort of conversation you might be having, with people. So I'm saying when I lived in the Middle East, it's very, very hot, so we changed clothes more. So I actually had more clothes. But coming back to the UK, I haven't needed to buy any new clothes, really. It's just replacing a pair of jeans or something like that, because they're lasting longer, and I have a lot of clothes. So I've resisted the temptation to go out and buy things just because.
Yeah, me too. I pride myself on buying as few clothes as possible. You know, I've got a few clothes that I really like that I'll wear and wear until they fall off my body. I'm
Yeah,
not ashamed of that really, and I'll try and fix them if I can as well. You know, I'm
exactly.
wearing a shirt at the moment. I've probably had this shirt for 8 years. As you can probably see, it's
Awesome.
a little bit graying and it needs washing. But when I wash it in bleach, you know, to bring back the white, and it just keeps
Yeah,
going for another few more years. Yeah,
exactly.
I just hate, not, I love clothes, but I hate the fact of just having five of something when I only need one or two, you know?
Well, this is so true, isn't it? And things have changed because a few years ago we had this conversation in a classroom with students. They might think it's a little bit odd, and it was odd to say that one didn't buy a lot of new clothes, but now it's people becoming more conscious of the environment, and it's not awkward. It's not sort of saying I don't have money or anything like that, which I think was an embarrassing state. Some people felt that. I mean, never bothered me at all. But I know that especially if you're a young person, there's a pressure, isn't there, from society to,
Massive. Well, from the media,
yeah. But
you've
it
got
is
to have,
changing.
I hope
Sorry.
so.
Yeah, from the media, you're right. Absolutely. And we're on Thursday, we're going to look at a little video which talks about that as well.
Good.
So it felt great, it says, until we found out what was hiding behind this trend. So quite a conversational tone here. Yes. So they talk about reduction in production costs. Again, that's very useful for business, isn't it? You might be having, if you're involved in business, you might be talking about a reduction in production costs that allow you to lower your prices for, not necessarily about fashion, of course, it could be about anything,
Yeah.
allow you to lower your prices.
Yeah.
Passing that on.
There's some lovely language in there.
There really is, absolutely. And this Mahatma Gandhi, yes, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just looking at the screen. There is no beauty in the finest cloth if it makes hunger and unhappiness. So
Brilliant thing to say. I mean, there's a shop in the UK, and well, I'm sure it's in many other countries, probably with a different name. I won't say which company it is just because it's inappropriate, but I was in that shop.
Oh, we've lost Tom. Yeah, we seem to have lost Tom. You know, when we're working on social media, we're working on the internet and social media, for that matter. But when you're working with the internet, sometimes things happen. So I'll just finish off the conversation here for our Tuesday. So yeah, Tom was talking about not all shops are ethical, and you know, all over the world we've got some that are working really hard to help with the environment and you know, reduce packaging and not encourage us to buy things that we don't need. And we can change things by buying better rather than buying more, which doesn't mean that, you know, fashion houses and clothes producers will go out of business. They'll just be producing a different sort of garment. So use that word again, garment, different sort of quality. So it doesn't mean that, and I think this is something worth considering, and again, a phrase and a term that's useful, it's worth considering that working better and working smarter doesn't necessarily mean loss of income for any business. It just means working in a different way. So if we think of jeans, so perhaps they're made better. So they perhaps may in time cost us a little bit more, but we won't feel that pressure to buy lots of different pairs of jeans in this example. So when you're talking about clothing, do think about the environmental impact. And when you're thinking about your own business, think about the environmental impact that you can have. So I am just going to pause our recording and see if Tom is able to get back on. So we've often talked about technical hitches, and that's a really good phrase to use. So there's been a technical hitch, and I'm going to round this up now. Have a look in the group or wherever you've seen this video, and there'll be more information. And also I'll drop in a link to that website so that you can go and have a look at it yourself, should you wish to see more information about the fashion industry. Because again, if you're ever in the situation of preparing for exams, this is a sort of website, it's a website that you can look at and get a lot more information, and not to advise you to spend a lot of time reading through websites, but when you look at something that's topic specific and coming at a slightly different angle, slightly different point of view to the normal, then again, it gives you confidence that you can say something, whether it's a business meeting, conversation with friends, or even this exams that we're talking about. You can say things a little bit different, but still within your normal range. Excuse me, don't sort of push yourself to learn lots of new phrases. That's absolutely not necessary, as we always keep saying, but it is nice to read through, get a feel of things, obviously join in our conversations, search our group for the topics. And if you've got a situation, a meeting, anything coming up, and you think you're going to be discussing something you haven't heard us talk about, drop us a message in the group. We'd be really happy to focus on a topic or an area that will be helpful to you. So I'm going to say goodbye on this Tuesday and hope that Tom's internet is back so he can join us on Thursday. Take care. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye.